Hi, everybody. I'm John Self. Welcome to Office Hours. This is our second edition of Office Hours. We are part of our new membership alliance program, and it's something we're really having a good time with. It's a way for you to uh, really get access to a lot of the career management education that you need and deserve at a lower cost of opportunity. Some job search people charge anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 or $6,000, and you get and it's a very rigid kind of process. This allows you to take the educational courses when you have time. It's online, but it's also on demand, and you have unlimited access. You also get the office hours. You'll get the monthly, the in-depth personality interviews that we'll be doing on leadership, job search strategies, career management. A couple of the things we have upcoming. Captain T.D. Smyers, retired United States Naval captain, who's a superb executive coach, will be joining us later this month. We hopefully will have Mike Lieb join us. He is had been very, very successful in building a career about interim assignments, and he'll talk to us about how he does his networking and how he keeps his pipeline filled. And then we're also talking to Randy Gutenberger, an old colleague of mine from years ago, who is a counselor, and he's going to be talking about how people struggle with change, which is a feature of tomorrow morning's comments. So if you are having any trouble hearing us, let me know. We'd love to. We had some problems earlier, so just drop a comment in the chat if you're watching this, and let us know if you're hearing us okay. This is a new show, so we're still building an audience for it, but we'll be here every week at 4 p.m. Central Time. So thanks very much. So let's get busy now. As I said earlier, our subjects today are going to start off with the importance of using the keywords and phrases in a resume. And we talk about that a lot, but people say, John, I'm really not too sure I get it. So let's go in and take a look at how we can do that. And let's see there you go. First of all, some of the keywords and phrases are outlined in blue. So these are just things we've taken from job summaries. An experienced, confident leader, that would be a key phrase. With a record of accomplishment, a key phrase. In revitalizing, a key word. Now, another would be record of impactful decisions. That's a key phrase. A record of accomplishment or demonstrated ability. These are all common words that are used in job searches. A proven record of accomplishment in improving employee engagement. Again, you want to use the words exactly as they are used in the job summary to describe your performance in your resume. So if they're looking for someone with a record of impactful decisions and you have quantifiable achievements that document that, then what you need to do is use that phrase. If it's in the summary, use that phrase exactly as they used it. If they were looking for someone with a proven record of accomplishment, use that exact phrase, proven record of accomplishment. Why? Because these are the things that the computer's algorithm is looking for. And the more of those words they find, the better they're going to like you. Insightful leader with a demonstrated record of accomplishment. Again, common phrases, common terms that you'll see in most job summaries, most job descriptions. Ability to build consensus. This is really important. You would want to use that phrase exactly as they use it there. Important note, HR recruiters tend to use industry catchphrases, so be on the alert. Use them. I mean, I know you go, oh God, why are they using those kind of cliches? Why are they using the same old phrases? Don't overthink this. The computer's looking for it. Give the computer what it's looking for, okay? Use those key phrases. Now, we have a form that we will send to you. It's free. If you're one of our members, it's part of a downloadable package. Here's some other keywords and phrases that we've used. And what you do is you go through and you make a list of everything that you can take out of that job summary and put it in this form. And then as you go through the resume in each section, not just in the professional summary at the top, but in each section where your work, if you're describing your scope of responsibility, and you can use some of the keywords, key phrases in describing your job. Do it. This is what they're looking for. Okay, and then you certainly want to use those in your organization. If it says if they've used in this summary, we're candidates from top flight or top performing health systems or top performing retail systems. Put that in the description of the business. Okay, I mean everything. I mean you don't let any opportunity pass you by to list one of the keywords or phrases, whether it's describing the company, describing your job, or certainly as it relates to the quantifiable achievements. Again, success, consistent, consensus, superior interpersonal skills, demonstrated ability, another great HR key phrase. Use them throughout the resume whenever you can. So use this form, download it. If you're a member, you can get it at johngself.com and click the red tab on the right side, and that'll take you in. If you haven't joined, please do. It's $49. Now, we're going to limit. This is a pretty good deal financially. We're going to limit the number of people we admit in this membership plan. We want a big enough group so that we can share and exchange ideas and information and help one another manage our careers, help one another deal with strategies on how to deal with toxic bosses or bosses that refuse to do performance reviews when they're supposed to, all those fun things that we've all dealt with in the past. We want to build a group so we can share and help each other. And as the group grows, we'll be using the rooms concept on Zoom so that we can have special interest groups and people can share during the office hours. And then we'll also, once we get a big enough group, we'll also then start scheduling meetups so that you'll have more time to share with one another. Looking for a job, two things. It's lonely and it's hard as hell, and emphasis on the hard as hell. And I talked to a friend the other day who's been looking for a job now for about 3 months, and he's an executive, and he's going to probably end up being on a job search between 6 and 8 more months. I mean, and you tell him that, it just absolutely crushes his soul. And the other day he said, today I left the house for the first time in 2 weeks. Now, he's really focused. He has a schedule. He's very, very organized. You've got to get out and move around. So don't just sit at your desk all day long. You got to be out and move around and do networking. We'll talk about that later in this show today. But here's what the form looks like. Download it. If you have any trouble, you can always reach out to me at john@johngself.com, and we're happy to support you and get you the information you need. This is a United States Navy. It's the promotion board. T.D. Smyer shared this with me. And you're looking for something, if you're trying to describe yourself, you're an executive known for sustained superior performance. I love that phrase, and I think that's something that you can use to build your brand. Okay? Now, here are some things that you want to avoid in your resume. First of all, you don't want to use the word seasoned. When you use the word seasoned, you're saying, I am old. And if you don't want to use words that might give away, like mature or maturity in your decision making, that suggests that's going to bring into play the concept of how old are you. A long record of experience. You want to use words like accomplished, successful record of experience, but try not to use phrases that may tip people off to what your age is. There's a lot of discrimination right now. We have a course that you can download. I believe it's free in our membership group, and it allows you how to compete for jobs if you're being discriminated for on age. Direct or indirect references to age, reference points, or years of experience that might trigger an ageism response. Now, sometimes when they're checking background, they have said in the past, the clearinghouse, well, if we know what year they graduated in, we might be able to find it faster. I'm not sure about that, but don't use dates of the degree. We used to think that early on, but they're pretty much the job checking now, the reference checking, the background checking. So much of that's done automatically now with computers. So don't put things in your resume that might trigger an ageism opportunity for discrimination. And by the way, in case you're wondering, ageism starts to occur when you're 45. I know that's going to be shocking, but that's true. Be accommodating, be alert for accommodating or sympathetic statements. This person, especially when you deal with recruiters, You deal with HR people. In the job search, it's very, very competitive. The people that are hiring you are not your friend. They are your potential employer. And so you must remember, you sometimes you build a good rapport with them. And so you think, okay, we're friends and they're going to help me out. No, that's not their job. And to use an old Steve Harvey line, the people by your side may not be on your side. So I hope that information is helpful, and that kicks off our first segment with the keywords. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to schedule a call, or you don't hesitate to send me an email at john@johngself.com. The call we take calls all the time from our members, and those are included in the price. And the membership fee, by the way, this is not $3,000 or $4,000. The membership is $49 a month. And every month, if you want to continue, it'll draw your account again. And if you don't want to continue, just remove your credit card information. And if you miss the pay date and you want a refund, if you've done it within the first 10 days, we'll be happy to refund your money for that month in which you were trying to withdraw. We're doing this on a month-above basis because we want to earn your confidence every month by providing quality content. Okay, so let's now go back and let's talk about that first question. I'm doing a lot of work right now with some people who've not done a lot of interviewing, and you try to suggest, look, you're going to be able to anticipate certain questions. Well, that really blows their mind. How do you know which questions you're going to be asked? Well, the one thing I can tell you with some degree of certainty, that there's one first question that's almost always asked, and the crucial first question. Now, stop. Do not overthink this. They have your resume. So your first answer, tell us about yourself, or tell us why you want to work here, or tell us something that's not on your resume that might help us get to know you better. It's basically all the same question. It's an opportunity for you to sell your value. You don't want to start going through your resume because they've got that. And if they want you to walk them through the resume, then they'll tell you. They know where you've been at this point. So now tell them who you are and tell them why it's important for them to hire you. Okay, that's the really goal in that first question. And how you answer that question, how you perform, will set the tone for the remainder of the interview. I have seen people absolutely stumble, mumble, and fumble on that first question. And I like to say, hey, tell me something about yourself that's not on your resume that'll help me get to know you better. And it's like, they didn't even think that was possible that anybody would ask that question. And so they stumbled and fumbled, and they were off balance the rest of the interview. What you want to do is know that there are certain questions that are going to be asked, and what you want to do is smile, you want to connect, and you want to engage. Why? Because people hire people they like and they trust. Smile, connect, and engage. Give them a reason to hire you. Okay? Now, if we talk about selling your value, this is an example of what a value brand statement is. Focus on 4 or 5 of your signature strengths. That's the heart of your value. You can't have any more because you won't be focused. And then you want to tell it, you want to put this down 250 to 300 words. You may not ever use the whole statement in one sitting. You may use bits and pieces of it throughout the day interviewing. And most of my clients say that's exactly what happens. But, tell a story. People remember stories. In this case, and when you can certainly, if you download our membership information, this is a story about a guy who went into healthcare, and he was a certified medical practice executive. He was also a certified fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives, and he loves small towns. Why? Because when he was in high school, freshman in high school, he came home one night from practice. A neighbor dropped him off, and there was an ambulance there, and the sheriff's deputy was there, and a fire truck was there. And his father had had a severe asthma attack. He was an insurance salesman, but also was a part-time farmer. And he was up in they had this old family farmhouse, and they were having trouble getting him down the stairs, so they had to call the volunteer firemen out. And they got him down, and he was in bad shape. And he said, I'm going to get the car and get my mom. She's at church. Where are you going? What hospital in Minneapolis? And they said, we won't go to Minneapolis. Your father won't live that long. We're going to the local community hospital. And so he had really never even given any thought that the community had a hospital. He was a freshman in high school, thinking about girls, basketball, and football. And so he went and got his mom. And he said, when I got to the hospital, we were treated so kindly. We were treated with such reverence and respect. And the young physician who was on duty that night came out and explained what was going on. He said it was nip and tuck, but they could have him stable. And he was so competent. He was so reassuring. The nursing team was absolutely magnificent. And he said it made such an incredible impact on me. Guess what? I said, okay, you use that in your resume, your interviews, don't you? And he goes, no, why would anybody be interested? And I said, oh my goodness, no. That's a story that people will remember. I mean, and so, it was a real struggle to get him to do that. And then so I said, now, what you want to do then, after you tell that story, why you got into healthcare, let me tell you about who I am. I'm a master's prepared, double boarded hospital executive and physician practice executive. And I find that that is a great combination to have in a rural community, because the most important asset we have are our people, which includes our doctors. And so one of the reasons I love rural community hospitals, not only because of its mission critical value to the community, but because I can get involved in making meaningful difference for the physicians and helping them maximize their practice, and for our employees. And the final thing he put in there was the results. Over the years, I have been consistently able to deliver exceptional results for my organization. Now, he left that organization. His boss retired. They wanted him to move up to be the system president. He had some family issues at the time, and some illness in the family, and chose not to do that. He and his wife had talked about it. Well, then a new CEO came in, wanted his team, and our good guy got pushed out. When I met him, he interviewed for a job in Oregon, and he was just, unfortunately, it was dreadful. He didn't know how to tell a story. He just was there answering questions. And this value brand statement is what I helped put it together. And he still was reluctant to use it. But why? He had been brought up in a good Lutheran family, and he was always taught, you don't brag about yourself. Well, let me tell you this story that I think is amazing. He was so frustrated, and I was really pushing him really hard. A couple of times I really kind of got frustrated with him, a little bit angry with him, because he had this incredible story to tell, and he wasn't using it. And he would go through the interviews. He would get to the final interview. The board would say, well, thank you. You're really well qualified. We have several other candidates we're thinking about, and we'll get back to you. And it was never good news when they got back to him. So finally, he was interviewing in this town in, I think it was Southwest Colorado. He was up in Minnesota, and he and his wife drove to the interview. They loved the community. They were treated so well by the hospital people. They were treated so well by the community leaders. They were so kind. They said, we could be really happy here. And he went through, and they had some problems that he dealt with before. And so he did a really good job showing how he could help them solve those problems. I've done this before, and you can trust me to get it done. He didn't say that in most of his other interviews. He would just interview and leave. And this time I said, close the deal. Use your value brand statement to close the deal. And so at the end, he hadn't done that. He was still struggling. He felt really uncomfortable with that approach. And he finally said, they said, well, we'll get back to you. And he said, I started to get up, and I stepped back and I said, may I add one more thing before I leave? First of all, I've had such a great time in your community. Of all the jobs I've interviewed for in the last 6 months, I don't think I've ever been in a community that I've enjoyed more than your community. People were so nice here in the hospital, but at the restaurants, at the hotel, this is a place my wife and I believe we could call our long-term home. So thank you for the way you've treated us. It would be a real honor to serve a community like this. The second thing I want to tell you is that the reason I'm in healthcare is because my father almost died one night. We lived in a rural area, and if it hadn't been for a hospital just like this, my father would have died. And my daughter wouldn't have been able to hear all those great stories that my dad tells. And he said, and then I said, I understand your problems because I've dealt with these exact same problems in the past. And I want you to know that if you offer me the position, you can rest assured that I'm going to get the medical staff situation resolved, and build strong relationships. And I'm going to take really good care of our employees because they're our most important asset. And I guarantee you, I will get that work done that you need done. And there was a moment of silence, and somebody said, "That was incredible. Thank you for sharing, and we'll get back to you." Okay, I guess he was hoping he could close the deal that night. And he was driving home the next day. They were stopped at a truck stop, and he was filling the car with gas. And his wife went in to get some coffee and snacks. And while he was standing by the pump, the phone rang, and it was the chairman of the board. And he said, "We were so appreciative of what you said last night. We stayed around after you left, and we all decided you're the best man for the job, and we want to offer you this position." And it was paying more than he really had thought it would. And he said, "John, you were always harping at me about the importance of the value brand statement and closing the deal." And he said, "You were right." Now, this is another value brand statement. This is a healthcare executive with a record of success in demanding high performance health systems and hospitals in Kentucky and Texas. My operating experience includes working in community and metropolitan markets where I consistently met or exceeded my performance targets. This experience ranges from serving as a special projects manager to an associate administrator and then chief operating officer for a 326-bed flagship hospital in the Texas-Mexico border region. Now, those are tough markets, believe me. I grew up in Kentucky in a family of 5 with hardworking parents, and he just tells his story. I'm a master's prepared leader who values my team members, a philosophy I've applied throughout my 26-year career. My love of healthcare industry began when I was 13 years old with the support of my mother, a registered nurse, who encouraged me to volunteer at the hospital. She set such a powerful example. That's just another example of a value brand statement. These are things that you don't memorize, you learn them and you put them in your heart. And when they ask you that question, you're going to give them some variation. And I guarantee you, if you start off with an answer, you don't want to sound too glitzy. It's got to be in your voice. But but if you absolutely deliver that with confidence, with smile, if you connect and you engage, that will set the tone for the rest of the interview. Now, if you're struggling with this, that's part of what we help people do in the membership program, is put together these types of statements. Now, this is one of the problems with this guy is he had this great statement, but he never wanted to use it. He was a very, very person of big faith, very modest. He no longer runs a hospital because his for-profit boss did not think he was tough enough. His hospital was profitable, but not profitable enough. He was uncomfortable selling his values, both in the community and into his organization. Now he works with a network of FQHCs, as he said, doing the Lord's work, and he's a very, very active leader in his Catholic parish. He's a good guy, but he has so much to offer. Now, he found a slot where he wanted to be, and he settled for a different role in life, but he's very, very happy. But he did not sell his value, and I really think healthcare lost a real talented leader. Now, when it gets down to your value brand statement, it is the heart of selling yourself. The key. You got to communicate to build a relationship, trust, and likability. And you want to select stories from your career that support that vision. Now, we have something called a core and categorical worksheet. Members are able to download this and help. It really is invaluable in helping you prepare for job interviews. Understand this. When you go for an interview, whether it's on Zoom or you go to the site, they've got you there for a reason. They're not bringing you in to eliminate you. They're looking for a reason to hire you. And so you need to give them that reason. You're not there just to answer questions. You're there to communicate your value so that they understand what you bring to the table. Okay? I hope that's the value brand statement and the art of selling yourself. That's just a little brief overview. We have a big time course on that's in 2 parts. If you're a member, it's included in your membership fee, $49 a month, unlimited access. Okay, so now we want to move to another important element, especially today. Today, automation is absolutely taking over the world. And let's see if everything is everything's going okay here. It's an amazing kind of situation. Computers now are sourcing candidates, they're evaluating candidates, and they're making the initial decision on which candidates the resumes will even the recruiters will even see, and it's all done with an algorithm. And so in order for you to be visible to recruiters today more than ever before, you have to manage your brand. It's a really important process. So let's move forward and talking about maximizing your brand on LinkedIn. First of all, LinkedIn, it is not a peer-to-peer networking tool. It started out to be that way. I was hopeful, and I'm a 19-year veteran of that process, but it's not. There's just too many people on the platform. There's almost 1 billion people now. When I was there were less than 10,000 people when I started on LinkedIn. It is not a platform where you can take a connection and cement a deep relationship. You're still going to have to rely on traditional networking strategies. It's not a job board. Okay, and there are a lot of jobs on there. A lot of recruiters use it extensively, but it's not really an effective job board. It's a tool on which you should base your career. You can't. You're not. It's not going to be the kind of tool that makes you or breaks you as an executive. It is a tool, but it is one of many. And this is not the. It's a lot of people live or die with LinkedIn. And quite frankly, I used to believe it was something more than it really was. And over time, I've come to learn the error of my ways. It is not good for peer-to-peer networking. And I was very hopeful because it offered the promise that you could network 24/7 because you could send people messages, you could decide who you wanted to connect with, you could learn about them. And in the old days, the way you did that was you went to meetings and met people, and that was a very intermittent networking opportunity. I mean, you might maybe go to three meetings a year. Well, in this market today, you've got to do a lot more than that. So this is what LinkedIn is not, but it is a pretty invaluable tool. It was launched in May of 2003, excuse me. And as I said, within 2 years, they had about 10,000 members. It caught people's attention because it was a novel approach of social media with a business orientation. Now, today, there are more than 950 million users, including executives, and a lot of people selling stuff that you probably don't need and may not work. Oh, yes, we can show you how you can get 200 extra clients or schedule 40 calls a day. It's all nonsense. It's all people just selling stuff. And a lot of times with no sense of accountability. Peer-to-peer networking, as I said, is almost non-existent. But it is a tool that you can use. It can be very useful for research, brand promoting, and recruiting. Now, it is a billboard. It's a global billboard, and you can use it for free. So that is the absolute great thing about LinkedIn. But if you are relying on that to find your job, you're in for a real big disappointment. It's a tool. It helps you identify. Okay, executives from a certain company. Sometimes you can put the company up and it'll promulgate all the people that are LinkedIn members that work there. Well, that gives you some targets. And let's just say, well, I'm currently working in a hospital in Birmingham, Alabama, but I would really like to live in the Mountain West. A lot of my family is out there, and I really would like to look at, Intermountain Healthcare. That aligns with my faith principles, or some of the Catholic systems, or someplace down in Denver. Well, now you start building a network around those opportunities or those organizations. LinkedIn can help you identify who they are. If you're in the American College of Healthcare Executives, of course, you also have another tool, the college directory, which has emails and current contact information. But LinkedIn can allow you to kind of figure out who's who and who's at a certain organization that can help you develop your network in a given area. Now, you start when one of the things you have to do with LinkedIn also, in order to be noticed by the scanners that are looking for applicants, That's another thing that you can use LinkedIn for, is not just to network or to identify sources to network. Okay, but it's a way to get your name visible to these recruiting scanners. They can go through thousands and thousands of uh, profiles on LinkedIn in a matter of minutes. And so, although the good news is you can now be identified without really having to be aggressive and looking for a job. That means that your competition is also going to be a lot more intense. And so they may end up with 200 or 300 people that the scanners identify as potentially qualified for a job. And then they're going to go through another algorithm scan with the applicant tracking system and get that number down to about 25 or 30. So the odds are really tough. But if you have a robust profile, if you're using video, if you're using many case management or case stories about your successes, things like this will help you stand out in the crowd. Okay, posting on a regular basis is crucial to building your brand. Now, when you post, the one thing you always want to ask is, what is the purpose? Why am I posting this? Is it consistent with my mission, my vision, my values? Is it going to support my brand? It may be a news story. Okay, that's great. But is it going to be something that promotes your brand? And those are questions you always have to ask. Posting on a regular basis, as I said, is crucial to building your brand. And it's also crucial because those scanning bots, they will see it. The more you post, the more consistently you post, the more opportunities you have to be noticed. And if you're in the job market, you should probably be posting 4 to 6 times a week minimum. Now, the other thing that we need to talk about in maximizing your brand on LinkedIn is you're going to have to start integrating video. It's powerful and it's necessary. Yes. Now, I'm an executive, not a TV personality. Yes and yes. But the pandemic highlighted the value and usefulness and importance of TV and video to connect with one another and to build relationships. Real estate agents used it as a way to continue to maintain relationships with their clients and to form new relationships. And they were very, very aggressive. And one of the big real estate online email services is called BombBomb, BOMB. We use one called SendSpark, and it allows you to record a video using your cell phone, and it's maybe a message. Hey, Robert, it was great to see your announcement that you've now been appointed to be X number, whatever the title is, at this organization. Best wishes. I guarantee you, if you send that, you can edit it on your phone. You can upload it to SendSpark. They give you a link. You can paste it in a DM on LinkedIn even, and it'll bring up the little vision of the little image of the TV, and you put a preliminary message. Hey, Robert, I recorded this message especially for you. We use SendSpark, which is a Google approved vendor, and it is free of malware. Okay, that usually will allow people to be comfortable, and they'll open it. The research shows that video emails and videos are 75% more likely to be viewed and are opened if they are an email. And the knowledge retention is at 90%, according to the research. Okay, now, like recruiting, automation, and AI, it is here to stay. So you must embrace this tool. We're working on a course now to kind of give you some pointers on how to do it. But from emails to case studies on LinkedIn, video absolutely must be part of your brand. So I hope you will begin to learn more about it and embrace it. Now, if posting on LinkedIn makes you uncomfortable, this is really going to put you over the edge. LinkedIn, with all of its assets and all of its power, is not a search engine. So you can post some great content on LinkedIn, but within 2 or 3 days, it's been overwhelmed and it's not even going to be visible anymore to most people. There is another format that is now playing an increasingly important role in brand development, business development, and it's YouTube. And the most interesting thing about YouTube, I found, and didn't know this for many years, is that YouTube, behind Google, which owns YouTube, is the globe's second largest search engine. So if you post things on your YouTube, on your LinkedIn folder, put them on YouTube. because that will be the warehouse, and it's a searchable database. And so your video, your slides that you may produce, your little slideshows, slide decks, all of that is retained. I found a video I produced, gosh, 10 years ago. It had over 5,000 views. I'd almost forgotten about it. Okay. It's important in brands management and in recruiting is accelerating, as is the case with another interesting platform called TikTok. Now, it's not quite where YouTube is yet in terms of its seriousness as a business trending enterprise. But let me tell you something. There are a lot of people who have side hustles using YouTube to talk about things they love, about, tying flies for fly fishing, or how dads can get ready to be a new father and all the things you need to learn. People are making big money doing that. And it is also a way to promote your brand. And it is a way to accelerate your job search. So to learn more about YouTube, it's a really powerful tool. And remember, millennial and Gen Z recruiters love video. Now, it's just a medium you absolutely have to understand. Now, there's a book out called YouTube Secrets. It's written by a colleague that I'm taking one of his courses, Sean Cannell. Really interesting guy. He's the real deal. He's got good information. I'm a member of his membership group. And that's where I got the idea. And you get a lot of incredible information, and they're always providing you additional tips and more programming and more ways to be successful. The creator economy that uses YouTube is $1 billion a day enterprise. Okay. So, you consider using YouTube as your warehouse for videos you post on LinkedIn and on your page. Okay. So I think that's something that is very, very helpful. All righty. So that's three of our issues. And hopefully this is information that's being valuable to you. Let's see what else we have here. Let's talk a little about career journaling. This is something that I've been a devotee of for a long time. And years ago, I was at a presentation at Southern Methodist University's school of the Cox School of Business. And they brought in a Dallas, a SMU grad, who was a remarkable coach and consultant on leadership development and executive development, a guy named Rand Stajan. He's got an organization called the Stajan Institute, and it's people who belong to it absolutely swear by. Rand Stajan introduced something to me that I had always thought about and was kind of into, but he did it and brought it up in terms that I really could understand it. Now, first of all, there are two journals that I keep. One is a daily log, and I'm not sure you'll be able to see this, but I get this. Oh, probably can't. I get this from Amazon. It's $12 or $14, and it allows me the freedom to organize my day the way I want to organize it, not the way somebody says this is how you have to do it. So it has all these spaces, and you can assign what goes in what space. It's a great deal. I think you can on some of my YouTube videos in the description, there are links to that particular manual, and you can order it and get a discount. And right now, I think they've got a special sale on, and so you get an extra. Sometimes they're $18 and $19. I think the other day they were $12 or $14. So I keep that daily log. That's how I plan my day. I also use my computer calendar, but this allows me to keep notes during the day and update my appointments. The second thing I do is I journal, and this is a little bit smaller book, so pardon me. This is, and I use a book that's got dot point graphs, and it's where I create my ideas for content for live programs we're doing. As I go through the day, I may have an idea, and with this gray hair, I'll tell you that sometimes those ideas don't stay around too long. So I now have developed a pretty firm habit of absolutely going through and writing everything down, to retain the thought, retain the creativity, and that is so important. So I use it to reflections on the day, challenges addressed, decisions made, ideas for content, and personal reflections on what I did with my life that day. Was I a jerk, or did I treat people with respect? Did I offer grace? Okay. Now, the journal is a tool for personal and professional growth, and a tool for spiritual and intellectual growth. I cannot say enough how important journaling can become. Every day, I begin in my journal daily log, the book I showed you a minute ago. Every day I write down three things that I'm very, very grateful for, and then I write down two or three things, contracts with myself. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to give myself grace. I'm going to be more understanding and less impatient with people, those kinds of things. And I try to write that down and make a point out of living up to those commitments that I write down every morning. Now, there's another reason when I said you write down your reflections of the day. Let's say you had a particularly tough, important meeting and you had to make a decision. Think about, how did you make that decision? Did you have the right people in the room? Did you listen more than you talked? Did you give people compliments, even though their suggestions might not have been spot on? That you were kind and gave grace. Okay. Now, why do you want to go back and write that down and think about it at the end of the day? It gives you another perspective. The most important guy on a football team is the head coach. But he also, during a game, has the worst seat in the house. He's on the sidelines, but he has a headphone and he's talking to coaches in the box. And they're up high and they can look down and have a different perspective of what's going on. They're going to see things that the coach might not see on the ground. They're going to see things up in the press box that the coaches on the sideline can't see. They're going to be able to see how things play out. So it gives them a reflection. Now, above those coaches, on the top of the press box, are usually videographers recording every play of the game, and sometimes how high the cheerleaders jump. But most importantly, they record every play of the game, and those films are then reviewed by the coaches and analyzed. And how effective were we in executing our blocking schemes? How effective were we in executing our defensive schemes against the run and against the pass? What mistakes were we consistently making? In retrospect, looking down, they are able to see who did their job and who needs more help. And it's called game filming. Well, that's essentially what you're doing with your life, with your day, with your decisions. You're playing the game film back at night, and you're thinking reflectively about the decisions you made, how you made those decisions. The other thing that's really great about having the journal is that, in addition to replaying the game film and putting yourself in the press box, self-reflection is pretty hard, and it requires honesty. So you have to check yourself at the door when you get ready to start doing this. But this is a practice for leading more effectively. Now, another thing that's very helpful when you start a job, I use little tabs like this, and on the first day of a new job back in the day, I would put the title down, what day I started, who I was reporting to, what was my starting salary. I also wrote down a meeting with my boss. Okay, let's be sure I'm on the same page. What are the 4 or 5 things you really need me to get done over the next 6 months, so that I'm sure I'm tuned in to your expectations of performance? And I make a record of that. When I go through an evaluation, I put the date of evaluation. I make my comments about, was it a positive meeting? Were there any concerns? Was my boss antsy about something? I want a record of this, because this can help me then later in the day go back and say, he was a little antsy. What have I done anything that created that? Or was he just, he was afraid that it might be, there might be some competitive or combativeness in the review. Sometimes job bosses don't do the performance reviews when they're supposed to, because they're afraid of conflict. Well, take note of that stuff. And if you've got good high marks and he said great things about you, try to retain an accurate record about that, because this can always come back to help you later in your career to tell little stories about something you did that was particularly effective. I was keeping a journal. I was an ex-newspaper guy, so I was kind of in that business of writing things down. And one story I remember very, very vividly. I had just been at the hospital for a couple of months. The hospital was in, I didn't realize it at the time I took the job, in bad, bad financial condition. They were looking for a program or some strategy that would help them turn around and bolster their teaching programs. And we were right next to Baylor College of Medicine's big teaching trauma hospital, the county hospital district, and they were just eating our lunch. And the trauma surgeon at Herman, Dr. Red Duke, and my boss, Bill Smith, who was a genius at marketing, met with the fire department, and they heard about a program in Denver called Flight for Life. And I was sent on a team of people, 3 or 4 people, to look about how would this work in Houston? Could we make it work at Herman? And I thought, when I came back, I thought, this is pretty cool. I could have fun doing this. It'd be a lot more fun than just being a hospital PR guy. And so, as I was going to a meeting one day, I passed my boss in the hallway, and he was in a very heated meeting with a neonatologist, a baby doctor. And when I passed him, the doctor said, "And you're going to do that stupid effing helicopter program, and you've got nobody to run it." And he caught my eye as I passed, and he said, "John Self's going to do it, and he'll sink with it or swim with it." And that 12 to 15 seconds changed my entire life. And that's a story that means a lot to me, and it's something that I think put that down in my journal. I reflected on that later in the day, and that's the reason I was able to remember what was being said. I remember the environment, the circumstances. I remember it was a typical Houston muggy day. So having that kind of journal is incredible. It's really, really important. The most successful executives in the Fortune 100 company group keep a journal. The payoff today, professional growth. It helps you evaluate your performance. Think about how you're making decisions, how you're treating people, how you're dealing with them. The payoff tomorrow, well, for a lot of those guys, the big time royalties from their memoir. Okay, so that's something that I think is very, very helpful. Anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them. If you're watching us on LinkedIn, you can put some things in the comment section. If you want to drop a comment to me, you'll have to go over to YouTube or use the link if you're watching on StreamYard, which is the originating streaming service that we use. So I don't see any questions today. This is something we're going to be doing every Wednesday, 4 o'clock. So as we produce more and more of these programs, tell us the kind of information that we're producing. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you feel like we needed to focus on more so that it's meaningful to you, and the content and how it was presented. I've been doing this a long time, but I guarantee you, I'm not a TV guy, and I'm learning a lot. And so your feedback, your constructive criticism, your deconstructive criticism, all of this is very, very helpful and is appreciated. So I hope that you will. I hope that you will. Give that some thought in terms of helping us. I thanks so much. Now, if you're available tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m., we have Career Live, and we're working on that program right now. And we'll be on the air live streaming on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Facebook at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And we hope that you'll be there.